that I've gone through, throughout my career and my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Main Event Insider, your #1 WWE hub. Don't forget to subscribe and let's dive in. Raw opened with an energy that felt different, an electric tension that seemed to hum through every inch of the arena. Fans weren't just excited, they were uneasy, restless, caught between anticipation and dread. For weeks, the mysterious masked figure had struck without warning, leaving wreckage and questions in his wake. Tonight, those questions would finally meet their answers. Whispers filled the stands. Superstars backstage caught themselves pausing mid-conversation, glancing at monitors as if they expected the mystery man to walk right out of the screen. Every storyline, every rivalry, every alliance seemed to pause in collective suspension. Something monumental was coming, and for the first time, the WWE Universe wasn't sure if they were ready for it. The Tribunal takes the ring. Standing in the ring beneath the piercing glow of the overhead lights were Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed, three imposing figures who looked less like a faction and more like a force of nature waiting to strike. Heyman, ever the orchestrator of grand reveals and seismic announcements, held the microphone gently, almost reverently, as though it were a sacred instrument. His voice dropped into a hushed, controlled whisper that somehow carried to every corner of the arena. He spoke of vision, of power, of a revelation that would reshape WWE's landscape in ways no one could fully grasp yet. Breaker stood like a sentinel, muscles coiled, eyes watchful. Bronson Reed's presence added gravity, a silent promise that whatever was coming wouldn't be contained by conventional expectations. Together, they weren't just a group. They were the prelude to something far bigger. The promise of the reveal. Heyman declared that the vision they had teased for weeks required not just a name, but a face, one strong enough, cold enough, and strategic enough to guide their movement. Fans leaned forward, hands gripping barricades and chair armrests with equal intensity. The arena went still, becoming a collective heartbeat. Everyone knew what was at stake: the identity of the man whose shadow had fallen across Raw, SmackDown, and every major moment in recent months. The masked attacks, the cryptic interruptions, the ambush at Survivor Series, it all led to this very second. The WWE Universe didn't just want answers, they needed them. The entrance that changed everything. The lights dimmed until only a single spotlight pierced the darkness, illuminating the entrance ramp in a cold, narrow beam. The masked figure stepped out slowly, moving with the kind of poised confidence that instantly sparked recognition, even if fans couldn't name it yet. His walk wasn't menacing. It was methodical, arrogant, almost teasing. He was a ghost stepping into flesh, a specter claiming the ground he had haunted for months. With each step toward the ring, the tension rose like a wave about to crest. He stopped at the edge of the ring and lifted his head, staring out at the sea of faces. In that instant, the story shifted. The identity was no longer a mystery. Only the consequences remained. Heyman's final words. Before the reveal, Heyman inhaled deeply, preparing to deliver one of those signature proclamations that would echo long past the night it was spoken. He explained that the man behind the mask was the architect of destruction at Survivor Series, the mind behind the downfall of CM Punk, the calculating operator who had orchestrated chaos with ruthless precision. Heyman described him not as a destroyer, but as someone who believed that before a stronger WWE could be built, the broken parts had to be stripped away. He gestured toward the masked figure with the reverence of a prophet revealing a chosen one. The arena fell so silent that even the creak of the ring ropes echoed like thunder. Randy Orton reveals himself. The masked man raised his hand slowly, gripping the edges of the mask as the fans braced. With one smooth motion, he pulled it away. Gasps, screams, and stunned silence crashed together as the familiar face emerged. It was Randy Orton, the apex predator, the Viper, a man who needed no introduction because his legacy had been carved into WWE history years ago. His expression was unmistakable, that cold, calculating smile that told fans he knew exactly what he was doing and exactly how far he was willing to go. As Heyman bowed beside him, Orton stepped forward, taking the microphone with the ease of someone who had waited patiently for this moment. Orton explains the vision. Orton's voice was steady, controlled, and chilling in its clarity. He spoke not of chaos, but of transformation. He clarified that his actions, the attacks, the interruptions, the strategic eliminations had a purpose. Not destruction, not malice, but change. He framed his campaign not as random violence, but as a necessary cleansing of what he saw as weaknesses in WWE's foundation. The goal was a future where the strongest led, where the vision dictated order, and where he stood not as a hunter, but as an architect. His words weren't shouted in anger. They were delivered with calm conviction, which somehow made them even more unsettling. The WWE Universe didn't just learn who the mystery man was, they learned why he had done everything he'd done. And that why was more dangerous than the mask itself. The camera cuts to Roman Reigns. As Orton finished speaking, the screen suddenly shifted to the backstage area. Roman Reigns stood in front of a monitor, his face illuminated by the reveal he was watching. The tribal chief didn't yell. He didn't laugh. He didn't even blink. His expression was unreadable, a mask of composed authority that spoke louder than any outburst could have. It wasn't fear. It wasn't surprise. It was calculation. The look of a man who had just learned the identity of his newest challenger and was already preparing his next move. The apex predator and the tribal chief. Two titans, two legacies, two alphas now set on an inevitable collision course that would shake WWE's foundations. A new war begins. The reveal of Randy Orton wasn't just a twist. It was the start of an entirely new war. With Heyman, Breaker, and Reed at his side, Orton had positioned himself as the figurehead of a rising vision, one that threatened everything Roman Reigns had built. Their rivalry wasn't a matter of personal grudges or simple championship ambitions. It was ideological. Orton sought transformation. Reigns commanded dominance. The two forces were opposites, destined to clash in a battle that would redefine power within WWE. For fans, this wasn't just a storyline. It was a shift, a tremor signaling that the landscape they knew had changed forever.